The antique pictures displayed in the book are all true. If you also have them at home, congratulations. Come on, friend, let's take a look. What is history, what is cultural relics, and what is luxury that Western devils cannot afford? Treasure appreciation does not cultivate immortality, plus double female lead, Honorary Director of the British Museum in London, Honorary Director of the Louvre Museum in France, Honorary Professor at the National Museum of China. Facing these enthusiastic foreigners, Qi Ming felt a little embarrassed. I'm sorry to empty your Huaxia Pavilion like this, gambling on stones, wood, and jewelry. Change books, change porcelain, change bronze. Let's see Qi Ming, how to hold the Qilin in hand, embrace the beauty, and let the entire world's collection circle dance for him. Chapter 1. Lamps, Blind, and Abandoned Dogs. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding-ling-ling, as the door of the coffee shop was slowly pushed open, the wind chime behind the door rang a pleasant bell. The waitress behind the counter greeted the door warmly and professionally, "Welcome." Qi Ming supported the door with one hand and nodded at the waiter in response. The waitress was stunned when she saw Qi Ming. The man in front of me is very special. He is in his 20s, 1.8 meters tall, with slightly long hair, dressed in a casual white shirt and jeans, and dressed in an ordinary and inconspicuous way. What's unusual is that the man wears a black eye mask on his left eye, while his right hand holds a hiking stick. This unique outfit carries a bit of decadence, making the waitress think at the moment of seeing it, if we replace the mountaineering staff with an iron hook, it would be like the European pirates only seen in movies. But when she saw the man leaning to the right, pressing his entire body weight onto the mountaineering stick, struggling to hold the door with one hand and squeezing inward, she realized that the person in front of her was not COS, but really disabled. Upon realizing this, she immediately put down her work and took a few steps to open the door. Qi Ming said, "Thank you, sir, there is a seat available here." "Let me take you over," the waiter kindly reminded and walked up to Qi Ming, wanting to take him to the nearest seat to sit down. Qi Ming shook his head and said, "We have an appointment. May I ask where table number 16 is?" "Oh, over there," the waiter pointed to the innermost card seat in the store. "Do you want me to help you?" Qi Ming waved his hand and refused her offer of help, walking towards the corner of the wall. It is now 3 p.m., not the peak period of passenger flow. The sound of the mountaineering staff hitting the wooden floor seems a bit abrupt and special in this coffee shop full of petty bourgeois sentiment. Therefore, as we passed by, Qi Ming received many curious glances. Huaxia is a populous country with a high proportion of people with disabilities, but their presence is rarely seen in the streets and alleys, so most people would glance at them out of curiosity. At first, he used to have a sense of self-esteem, thinking they were mocking or sympathizing with him, but now he is adept at ignoring these gazes. Quickly, Qi Ming arrived at table 16. Lu Yun and Zhang Yaxing, who had been waiting in the booth for a long time, saw Qi Ming's arrival and their faces changed. "Why did you come? You don't have any sense of time." On the side of the aisle, Zhang Yaxing instinctively wanted to get up and help Qi Ming, but as soon as she stood up, she was glared at by Lu Yun beside her and pulled back. After finishing, she coldly stabbed Qi Ming. This scene fell perfectly into Qi Ming's eyes, and he felt a hint of relief. Zhang Yaxing's actions showed that she still cared about herself, while Lu Yun's attitude represented the attitude of the Zhang family. Zhang Yaxing is his wife and Lu Yun is his mother-in-law, but now his attitude towards him is not as good as that of a waiter. "This is your divorce agreement, take a look." Qi Ming sat down. Lu Yun eagerly took out 2 A4 papers from her bag and pushed them towards Qi Ming. Qi Ming didn't even glance at the paper, and his remaining right eye stared at Zhang Yaxing without blinking. But soon his eyes dimmed, and Zhang Yaxing's expression across from him was bitter, with tears in his eyes. He lowered his head as if he had suffered a great deal of injustice, his shoulders slightly shrugged but didn't say a word. "Are you ready?" Qi Ming picked up the paper on the table and stood it up to prevent the person across from seeing his expression, in order to maintain that little bit of male self-esteem. Not leaving. You disabled, you have already delayed Yaxing for 2 years, and you still want to delay her for a lifetime. Before the parties could even speak up, Lu Yun took the lead in challenging, you have obediently divorced now. We, the Zhang family, can fulfill the terms of the agreement. If we don't cooperate, we'll just wait for you to leave the house. After the A4 paper, the veins on Qi Ming's forehead twitched and his hand holding the paper trembled slightly. Why did I become disabled? Don't you and the Zhang family know that? Qi Ming put down the A4 paper and his remaining right eye turned red with anger and congestion. Yes, our whole family is very grateful to you. So we agreed to let Yaxing marry you and let her take care of you wholeheartedly for 2 years. You should be satisfied now, let alone the agreement which provides you with compensation. Don't be dissatisfied. Lu Yun's expression was cold and her tone was sarcastic. Her answer was as if everything was just right. These words added fuel to the fire, making Qi Ming tremble throughout. His left eye, which had lost its eyeballs, and his broken right leg were throbbing with pain. The physical pain and inner anger twisted his expression. Sorry, just before Qi Ming erupted, Zhang Yaxing, who had been silent, spoke up. She lifted her head and looked at Qi Ming with tearful eyes. I'm sorry, but I've really reached my limit. You don't know, I've seen that dark eye socket on your face several times at night. I've been so scared that I can only cover my mouth and cry. Every time I finish taking medicine for your injured leg, I have to sneak to the bathroom to vomit for a long time. I can even grit my teeth to endure this, but I can't bear the way people look at me when we go out together. I force myself not to think about these things. But whenever I think about living like this for 10, 20, and a lifetime, I'm afraid. I'm sorry for you, but please, let me go, okay? Zhang Yaxing's words of letting go made Qi Ming feel like a punctured balloon, and he collapsed. Afraid and nauseous, he saw his wife who had been sleeping together for 2 years this way for the first time. I agree. I don't know how long it took, but with a thud, the crutch landed and Qi Ming struggled to get up. After dropping this sentence, he slowly left, 1 foot deep and 1 foot shallow. In the booth, both the mother and daughter were stunned. Zhang Yaxing and Lu Yun had long thought that Qi Ming would strongly oppose, humbly beg, and even make concessions in some matters, but they just didn't expect things to go so smoothly. After a moment, Lu Yun, who had regained her senses, couldn't hide her joy in her eyes, while Zhang Yaxing breathed a sigh of relief, as if she had unloaded 1,000 pounds of burden and relaxed her whole body. Roaming and rumbling Qi Ming used to accompany Zhang Yaxing when chasing dramas. He had more than one roast about the lack of creativity of the screenwriter. Every time when it came to breaking up and divorce, it rained, so that God would sympathize with ordinary people. But it was his turn that he finally understood that art indeed originates from life. It was winter, but unfortunately, there was a thunderstorm in the middle of the night. At this moment, he was drenched in the rain, with his right hand holding the wine bottle and his left hand supporting the wall, struggling to move step by step. I don't know if that cane fell in a bar, restaurant, or some unknown corner. Pop. After a thunderous roar, Qi Ming vaguely saw a lightning bolt seemingly falling not far ahead. If he had been scared before, he might have been scared out of his wits, but now he wished the lightning had struck him. Thinking this way, he even gestured his middle finger towards the sky. Just walking like this, suddenly a whimpering sound came from the green belt on one side of the community. This night, except for the rustling sound of rain hitting the leaves, there was a silence. So the small sobbing sound was extremely abrupt and obvious at this moment. Qi Ming instinctively tilted his head and then moved over step by step. It's not that he's curious about what's there, but that his left leg can't stand it anymore, and there happens to be a bench in that position. After the car accident, although his left leg was not amputated, he also lost his ability to move and was limp and weak. It hurt so much every rainy day, let alone walking in the rain for half a day tonight. At a distance of over 10 meters, he walked for more than 3 minutes. After finally sitting down, I breathed a sigh of relief and let out a low moan once again. The sound was very close, and Qi Ming looked around. Finally, following the sound, he leaned down and saw a small bowl-sized object under the chair, huddled and trembling. Qi Ming reached out and lifted it out, leaving only one eye with a narrow field of vision. Coupled with being drunk, he couldn't see clearly what was in his hand. He could only see a damp and furry ball, with a few places seeming a bit burnt black. After being lifted by him, the little thing struggled a little, but soon gave up. Qi Ming held the little one in his arms and bent down to block the wind and rain as much as possible. Looking at the small thing that was huddled together, Qi Ming felt as if he was looking at himself. In that moment, the heavens empathized with him, and he empathized with the little thing again. After spending a long time in the rain, Qi Ming struggled to get up and slowly walked towards his home, holding the little thing in his palm. Chapter 2. Fuming, Blue and Purple Qi. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Hiss, Qi Ming gasped for air, sat up with one hand supporting him, lightly buttoned his temples with the other, and woke up with a frown. He has a dry mouth and a heavy and painful head, which is the standard hangover reaction. Looking back now, yesterday I laughed at someone else's screenwriter who only knew how to write about the breakup between the male and female leads. It was raining, and I didn't just borrow alcohol to drown my sorrows when I broke up. By the way, when I came back yesterday, I seemed to have picked up something that belonged to a stray cat or a stray dog. Qi Ming was excited and quickly searched for it. He vaguely remembers that when he got home yesterday, he gave himself and that little thing a simple wipe and went into bed without even taking a shower. I seem to have thrown that little thing onto the bed at that time. Such a small one, if it were to be run over by oneself at night, then my life would be gone. At that time, I felt that the little thing was on par with him and was saved. If it accidentally gets killed, it's better to stay outside and let it survive on its own. Fortunately, as soon as he lowered his head, he saw the little one huddled inside a black sweater, lying quietly on the left side. Qi Ming was about to breathe a sigh of relief, but in an instant, he realized something. A wave of hot blood rushed straight to his head, causing it to start trembling gently. Although his reaction slowed down for a moment, he still realized that he had actually seen it. To be precise, his left side is not pitch black. His left eye has long been removed, so theoretically, to see the little one lying on the left, he must turn his head slightly and rely on his healthy right eye. But now, he actually lowered his head and saw it. Me. Can you see it? My eyes are fine now. Qi Ming trembled, the left door, the left cabinet, everything on the left was so clear. Ah! I saw it. Qi Ming exclaimed excitedly, then a carp stood up and jumped out of the bed. Excitedly, he ran around the room twice and looked inside and out of the house where he had lived for 2 years. This was to confirm that his left eye had truly seen it. Not only his left eye, but also his soft and weak left leg, which couldn't even support his body weight, now seemed to be back 2 years ago. Whether he jumped or jumped, there was no discomfort. Are you dreaming? This is Qi Ming's first reaction, slapping himself and killing him. His face was hot and spicy, with 5 finger marks neatly arranged, making sure it wasn't a dream. Did you travel by yourself? Qi Ming found his phone on February 11, 2023. This time is also correct. Moreover, Qi Ming also discovered something and directly ruled out the possibility of crossing over. That's because his eyes in the mirror are still empty. That left leg is still covered with surgical scars and the terrifying burns left from a car accident. He has neither traveled or been reborn, his wounds are still there, but his vision has been restored. Did I encounter a fairy? Qi Ming thought for a moment and could only attribute everything to metaphysics. The situation was a bit strange, but it was beneficial and harmless to him. When he thinks of metaphysics, he thinks of something. When he was rescued in a car accident, his life was in danger. The grandmother from the countryside went to the old Taoist temple in the village to beg for a copper coin for a day and a night. It is said that it was still obtained from the copper coin sword of a Taoist priest in the Taoist temple. Not long after the copper coins were requested, Qi Ming actually rescued them. For this reason, his grandmother later spent several thousand more and went to pay off her wishes, beating drums and gongs. As a master's student in the 985 history department, Qi Ming naturally does not believe in these. But after all, it was the old man's intention. He found a red thread to put on and wore it with him for a while. Later, Zhang Yaxing said it was too tacky, so he took it off and placed it by the bedside. Is my current situation really related to this copper coin? Qi Ming hung the copper coin in front of him with a red thread and looked at it. Upon closer inspection, not to mention noticing some tricks, the copper coin was wrapped in 2 wisps of smoke, one blue and one purple, with hair strands and fingertips of varying lengths, floating in ethereal. Moreover, the smoke drifted towards the hollow eye socket, and as the smoke drifted in, the headache caused by the hangover was alleviated, and the whole person felt a bit refreshed. Is this really some Taoist treasure? Qi Ming beat drums in his heart. His current job is related to cultural relics, and out of curiosity, he had actually researched this copper coin with knowledgeable professionals before. This is a Qianlong Tongbao. The Taoist priest in the Taoist temple really didn't deceive his grandmother. It is indeed an antique. The full name is Qianlong Tongbao, large sample, with Manchu script on its back, Baosu. However, Qianlong reigned for a long time, over 60 years, with a large amount of casting, and only over 200 years ago, which is not a long time. So even if this Qianlong Tongbao is real, it is only worth over 200 yuan and cannot be considered a treasure. And to say that his situation is entirely due to this coin, Qi Ming doesn't believe it. He has been with him for over 2 years. If it were really so magical, he wouldn't have to wait until today. If you can't figure it out, don't think about it. As stated in the new book of Tang, there is nothing in the world that can cause trouble for ordinary people. Anyway, although my injury is not good, it no longer affects my life. So what should I think more about? It's not a bad thing. And looking at the clock on the wall, he didn't have time to think too much. At around 10:40, if he doesn't go to the store again, he probably got divorced yesterday and will be unemployed again today. Quickly got up to wash up, and before leaving, poured a bowl of milk and served it on the bedside table. The little thing is probably going to touch and drink it on its own when it's hungry. After arranging everything, he finally left the door. Before going out, he was equipped with an eye mask and a cane. Although he had recovered to his original state, it was difficult to explain why he had been walking briskly overnight, so he still had to disguise himself. Following his previous appearance, he got off the elevator with deep and shallow steps and left the hallway. When he passed by a green belt in the community, he was suddenly stopped by someone. Xiaozi, ah. He is called an old man. Good morning, Teacher Wang. What's early? It's already noon. Is there any place to eat lunch? Come to my house and take a whole bite. Old Wang knew that Qi Ming's legs were inconvenient, so he took the initiative to walk over. After Qi Ming was discharged from the hospital, he often took walks in the community, which can be considered a form of rehabilitation. Gradually, he became familiar with the elderly people wandering around in the community. Moreover, he is a student of history, and it is hard to say that he has studied history from ancient to modern times. He still casually holds various official and unofficial histories. Due to his exceptional ability to chat, he quickly became close friends with this group of elderly people. Qi Ming smiled and shook his head, then pointed to the old man's previous position. Surrounded by more than 10 people, it seems that there is still intense discussion about something. No, Uncle Wang. What's going on over there? There are so many people. Hey, you don't know. It was struck by lightning there. A half-meter deep pit was blasted out, and the surrounding grass was burned. Fortunately, it was late at night and it rained again. You said if you didn't kill someone during the day. As soon as the elderly person spoke up, it was like a machine gun, from lightning hitting the grassland to inadequate lightning protection measures in the community, developers cutting corners, property management not taking action, and community officials being indifferent. In the long run, the country will not be strong. Leng has elevated an accidental event to the level of urban development and national progress. Qi Ming responded with a few words and quickly found a way out. After leaving the community and entering the pre-arranged ride-hailing service, Qi Ming finally relaxed. It used to be tiring to walk with a limp, but he didn't expect it to be difficult to pretend to be limp. However, he recalled that the location of the lightning strike was very close to the stool where he rested yesterday, and he was lucky not to be struck. Picking up treasure houses, the name is both rustic and vulgar. However, this vulgar name perfectly fits the mindset of tourists who come here. Who had never dreamed of making a fortune by picking up leaks before coming to Panjiayuan. The location of this store is good, located in the center of the miscellaneous area of Panjiayuan Antique Market, and its business has always been good. After Qi Ming's body recovered a bit, he wanted to work. But the scope of employment in the history major is already narrow, and he is both legless and blind, so no one is hiring him at all. Finally, the Zhang family dragged him down and sent him here to become a researcher. Of course, researchers are polite, just like hairdressers claiming to be designers. His actual job is actually to create stories for the products in the store, claiming to add some historical background, but in reality, it is to raise prices. Chapter 3. Resignation, Special Yuan Datou, Part 1. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. When Qi Ming arrived at the store, the owner Wang Depang, dressed in a Tang dynasty jacket, was leisurely drinking tea with the neighboring owner Zhang, who sold the 4 treasures of the study. As it was a workday and also a meal, there were only 2 foreigners gathered around the porcelain counter in the store, watching, while a salesperson followed and greeted them. "Boss, I'm sorry for being late for something at home." Qi Ming apologized to Mr. Wang as soon as he entered the store. It's okay, it's okay. Has Xiao Wang finished his current tasks? Perhaps with outsiders around, Mr. Wang's attitude is particularly easygoing. I only restocked in the store yesterday. I haven't found all the information about the blue and white bowls and the patterned dragon willow branch plum vase yet. Does the boss have anything else to do? Oh, then go ahead and get busy first. After finishing your work, come over. I happen to have something to talk about. Qi Ming hesitated for a moment, then nodded and went inside. As he walked away, Mr. Zhang on one side curiously approached him. He had known this old Wang for not a day or two, and in my impression, this old man was not so easy to talk to. It was definitely a problem for employees to be so friendly when they were late. Old Wang, did you pick up something again today? Are you in such a good mood? Mr. Wang picked up the tea cup and pursed it, then smiled and pushed it back. No, more than 20 years ago, there were no leaks in this Pan family. Anything about picking up leaks was just fooling big fools. What good thing is that? Look at you so happy. Hee, old Wang said proudly, good things really happen. Let me tell you, my grandson's enrollment in our Beijing Wenhui Junior High School has been settled. Wenhui. Now Mr. Zhang is really interested. Wenhui is not simple, it is one of the top 10 key junior high schools in Beijing. After entering Wenhui, I dare not say that I will definitely make it to 985 in the future, but half of my feet have basically made it to 211. He also had a grandson in elementary school. As soon as he heard that old Wang had a way into Wenhui, he immediately pulled out a cigarette and handed it over. Lao Wang, don't be too presumptuous. How did you get into Wenhui, what are the ways, and an introduction? Wang Pengzi took a beautiful puff before chuckling and saying, well, it's all thanks to Xiaozi who just passed by. Xiaozi. Well, why don't we say he's my lucky star? His father. Law is the vice principal of the affiliated primary school of Normal University. My grandson transferred to the school after being introduced and left. Of course, the condition is that I also provided a job for his son. Law. What about this time? They asked you to raise Xiaoqi's salary. Wang Pengzi extended his index finger and waved, oh, you never expected it. This time Principal Zhang has just one request. To dismiss his son. Law, the sooner the better. Now Lao Zhang really doesn't know how to do it. What is this picture? Who knows? Anyway, they agreed. As long as they open him up, he'll take care of my grandson's affairs. It's almost time to fire someone, so you just sent someone to work. That's too bad, right? Let's make the most of everyone's talents. I'm also a salaried person. Hehe, that's true. Then, when Lao Wang is available next time, could you introduce me to this principal? The two of them were chatting happily there, not caring about Qi Ming at all. But what they didn't expect was that Qi Ming listened to the entire conversation without missing a word. Qi Ming did not eavesdrop on the wall, but sat down and saw a wall several meters away, but their conversation faintly came in. If his hearing hadn't been that good before, but for some reason today his ears are particularly sharp. He wasn't interested in what they were talking about originally, but it seemed like he was mentioned, and he was curious to listen. He didn't expect to eat melon and eat it on his own. Zhang family. At this moment, Qi Ming's temples jumped suddenly, and the information in his hand was also squeezed into a ball. Wang Pengzi doesn't know the reason, he knows. The Zhang family is eager to drive him out of the capital. If he loses his job, then why can a disabled person establish a foothold in the capital? The only way he can go is to return to his hometown in Jiangsu. Although he has already lost his heart to Zhang Yaxing, the people of the Zhang family believe him. By then, he and Zhang Yaxing will be separated by thousands of kilometers from each other, and there will be no possibility of reconciliation. He concluded that the Zhang family had most likely come up with this idea. Although he has already lost his heart to Zhang Yaxing, even if he tells the Zhang family, he probably won't believe it. At least he sacrificed his life to save their daughter. At least he was a relative for several years. Qi Ming never expected that this family would do things so excellently. After thinking for a moment, he got up and walked towards Wang Fadi. Anyway, the job here cannot be guaranteed. If someone else brings up the divorce, then resign and bring it up on your own. You can't always be bullied. As for the remaining work on hand, what else should we do? Whoever likes to do it will do it. Yo, Xiaoqi, have you finished your work? Wang Pengzi was bragging about his strong network there, but unexpectedly Qi Ming just entered and came out again. Qi Ming didn't have a good expression this time, and his voice also cooled down. No, I just think Mr. Wang should have something more important to tell me, right? Old Wang was stunned for a moment. This attitude was not something employees should have towards their boss. Did Qi Ming already know he was going to fire him? But he hasn't spoken yet, has he? It's possible that the Zhang family leaked information, so since that's the case, he won't pretend. There's something going on. My aunt's niece is also about to graduate, studying history. Of course, she's not on par with you, a top student in the history department of Peking University. But I'm not a legitimate enterprise, so I'll use my own personal preference. So, you see, why don't you make it to the end of this month? It's just a good time to celebrate the Chinese New Year, and finding a job after it will be easier. Wang Pengzi originally intended to do what he said today. After all, the faster the Zhang family said, the better. But when I think about it, I still set the time at the end of the month. After all, there are still 2 weeks left for the Chinese New Year, so at least they can spend the year with pay. No need, let's settle this month's salary now. If you don't tell me, I was also planning to resign, but I happened to think of going together. Now Wang Pengzi was stunned, and his answer was beyond his expectations. It was only after Boss Zhang gave him a tug that he realized. Okay, this is the resignation agreement. Let's take a look. Although it's only at the beginning of the month, we will pay you the Social Security this month, and the salary will also be paid in full. What do you think? Following his gaze, he looked at the agreement on the counter in unison and said to himself, okay, all the agreements are prepared in advance. It's really urgent. He was too lazy to read the agreement, but he just glanced and froze. Through the glass, he saw the familiar blue and purple, which was exactly the same as what he saw on the Qianlong Tongbao this morning. Qi Ming was a bit curious and walked over, pretending to pick up the agreement, scanning the ancient coin counter with his eyes, and finally locking onto a big head named Yuan. Qi Ming looked at Yuan Datou and then at other ancient coins, and a spiritual light rose from the bottom of his heart. He pretended to read the agreement before speaking up. Boss Wang, there's no problem with the agreement. However, before leaving, I want to buy something as a souvenir. You can transfer it to me after deducting these payments to save trouble. Wang Pengzi smiled and agreed. Qi Ming didn't hesitate either. He walked into the counter and randomly selected a few Yuan Datou and a few copper coins. The Yuan Datou, which emitted a blue and purple aura, was inside. Wang Pengzi pulled down a total of 5 Yuan Datou and 3 Kangxi Tongbao. In the third year of the Republic of China, there were 3 Yuan Datou coins worth 1 jiao, each worth 200 yuan. 2 Yuan Datou coins worth 1 yuan, each worth 300 yuan, and those Kangxi Tongbao coins will be given to you as gifts. Wang Pengzi skillfully quoted the price and felt quite generous after completing the task. However, Qi Ming was not willing. He didn't come here for a day or two, he already knew that this was a craft shop with an antique shop brand, selling all modern imitations. Wang Pengzi treated him as a scapegoat for his pure price. Boss Wang, at least I am also your former employee, and I don't understand everything. Wang Pengzi was right when he thought about it. Hehe, let's work together. These are just souvenirs for you. Come back and take a look when you're free in the future. Qi Ming followed suit with a few polite words, confirmed that the salary had been received, and then left directly. Chapter 4. Resignation, Special Yuan Datou, Part 2. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After leaving the treasure-picking room and turning left, Qi Ming arrived at the dining area of the antique market. After waking up from drinking, rushing and resigning, I haven't eaten a bite of food. I'm really hungry now, so I'll come here first to cushion my stomach. While waiting for the meal, Qi Ming took out those Yuan Datou and copper coins. After looking at them one by one, he focused his attention on the head of Yuan, who exuded a blue and purple aura. On the Qianlong Tongbao in the morning, there was a slightly thick green air and a slightly thin purple air. But Yuan Datou in front of me is the opposite, purple is heavier than blue. As he approached and examined, the 2 waves of air drifted towards his left eye as if attracted by a magnet, and that refreshing feeling once again struck. Yuan Datou, to be more precise, should be called Yuan Shikai, carries a silver coin like jiahe. The casting time was around 1915 to 1929. But in reality, the Republic of China has always had circulation casting, and even around 1951, New China was still casting. The circulation time is even longer. Yuan Datou was still used as currency until the 1960s and 1970s in Yunnan, Guizhou, Sichuan and Zhejiang. Therefore, there are a large number of Yuan Datou in the world. Combined with the warlord regime in Old China, each region had its own coinage rights, resulting in an extremely diverse design of Yuan Datou. According to the pattern, there are frontal portraits, side portraits, and 7-part portraits. Divided by edge circle, with toothed edges, T-shaped edges, and circular edges. The statue of Yuan Datou in the third year of the Republic of China on Qi Ming's hand can be subdivided according to the year of its design. It can be considered as a silver 1 yuan 7-part face statue of Yuan Datou in the third year of the Republic of China. Why is he so clear about it? Because Wang Pengzi had entered a batch of various types of Yuan Datou, and this product introduction was written by him, so he did not search for any information. The one in hand is probably one of those batches. Qi Ming's theoretical knowledge is solid, but his vision is not very good. He flipped it over and over again, even taking a few bites, without distinguishing the difference between Yuan Datou in his hand and the others. Qi Ming had a vague conjecture in his heart, but to verify it, he had to first know the truth of Yuan Datou. If it were a different place, it would be difficult to find a knowledgeable person, but this is Panjiayuan. It's not difficult to find an expert. Having made a decision in his heart, Qi Ming grabbed 2 bites of food and rushed to the Bogu studio. Bogu Zhai is a legendary existence in this Pan family. This shop is one of the earliest antique shops in Panjiayuan, and unlike Wang Pengzi's handicraft shop under the guise of an antique shop, it claims to only sell real antiques and has a good reputation in the industry. Secondly, the owner of this shop is also a legend. The manager's name is Yang Chaoming, who used to be a researcher in the Forbidden City. After following the trend and going global in the 1980s, he founded Bogu Zhai, gradually expanding and strengthening the store. He has also become a well-known collector and appraiser in China today. In the past 2 years, the collection craze has risen, and various treasure appraisal programs have emerged one after another. Yang Chaoming has become a hot topic on major satellite TV stations and is often invited to help with treasure appraisal, gaining high popularity among the public. "Hello sir, may I help you?" As soon as I entered the door of the Bogu Zhai, a beautiful salesperson lady greeted me. "I want to sell something." Qi Ming scanned inside while speaking, but in fact, his guess in his heart had already been confirmed after entering. Inside the glass display cabinets in the store, there was a vast expanse of blue and purple smoke. Those breaths seemed to feel the arrival of Qi Ming, drifting towards Qi Ming, but were blocked by glass. Bogu Zhai claims to only sell genuine products, which proves that anything with a blue and purple aura is authentic and a true antique. Qi Ming immediately realized that he was not just about restoring his eyesight, but also had a cheat of looking for breath. "Sir, please take a seat here. May I ask if you want to sell porcelain, calligraphy and painting, or jade jewelry? I will have the relevant appraisers from the store come over." The waiter's inquiry brought Qi Ming, who was so excited and happy that he was about to faint, back to reality. He coughed twice to try to calm himself down, then followed the salesperson to a solid wooden square table. As soon as he sat down, someone brought tea. "Oh, it's just a Yuan Datou, can you count it as an ancient coin?" Qi Ming was a bit lacking in confidence. Although he had indirectly confirmed that Yuan Datou was a genuine product, he roughly glanced at the antiques in the store and couldn't resist starting with over 100,000 yuan. He always felt that even if it was genuine, it wouldn't catch people's attention. "Wait a moment, then." Qi Ming had not finished a sip of tea before the appraiser arrived. To his surprise, the person who came was a handsome young man with a straight suit, which somewhat shattered Qi Ming's inherent cognition. He always felt that the appraiser without a beard and white hair was definitely unreliable. The visitor seemed to have noticed the surprise in Qi Ming's eyes, even a bit taken for granted. "Hello, my name is Lin Xian. It's my pleasure to serve you." As he spoke, he handed over a business card. Qi Ming stood up, took the business card, shook hands, and sat down. Then he handed the Yuan big head to Lin Xian. Taking over Yuan Datou, Lin Xian took out a magnifying glass and looked at it carefully. After a while, he even breathed a sigh and leaned closer to listen to something. "The profile picture is correct, and there's no problem with the back flower. The surface is also naturally worn, and the sound is also correct. Sir, call me Qi Ming." Qi Ming is the first person to witness on-site appraisal, and it looks quite novel. Lin Xian smiled and gently placed Yuan Datou in front of Qi Ming. You have no problem with Yuan Datou. He is a genuine silver 1 Yuan 7-part face portrait of Yuan Datou from the 3rd year of the Republic of China. Currently, the market price is around 60,000 yuan, and if you meet someone you like, it can cost 65,000 yuan, but... As soon as Qi Ming heard him speak, he knew that this was about to lower the price. He doesn't care either, it's just a waste of money. Besides, the pressure on the other side is too strong, so he won't sell it. But look at this. Lin Xian pointed to several dents on the front of Yuan Datou, and then flipped it over to see several more dents. These are probably dental marks. These dental marks are pressed right on the shoulder badge and head, greatly damaging the beauty of the coin and causing a significant difference in appearance. Therefore, we can charge a maximum of 50,000 yuan. Alright, he bit off 10,000 yuan in just a few bites. Qi Ming was a bit confused, it's really strange that he had a cheap mouth. Lin Xian thought Qi Ming was unhappy when he saw his strange expression on his face, so he said again. If you're not satisfied with the price, I suggest you run to another place to ask. Alternatively, if you keep it for another 2 years, the coin collection will be bullish, and if you keep it for another 2 years, you'll probably be able to sell it for over 60,000 yuan. No need, I'll sell it to you. Lin Xian nodded and asked the salesperson to bring a purchase contract and a disclaimer agreement that both parties voluntarily traded and the source of the goods was unknown to the merchant. He also asked for Qi Ming's bank card number. After signing the agreement and handing over the items, the money was directly transferred to Qi Ming's account without any delay. After finishing, Qi Ming expressed his desire to take a look at the store. Lin Xian naturally agreed, even acting as a commentator for Qi Ming due to his inconvenient legs and feet. He explained everything Qi Ming was interested in, from the era, characteristics, to market value trends. He didn't leave until other guests needed him. Qi Ming also took the opportunity to say goodbye to him and left Bogu Studio. After leaving the Bogu Studio, Qi Ming suddenly felt a sense of vastness in the sea and sky. The heartache brought by divorce, the anger towards the Zhang family, and the frustration of losing their job all dissipated completely at this moment. Because, through the communication with Lin Xian just now, it is confirmed. He can be said to have summarized the significance of the blue and purple qi. Simply put, cyan represents the age of an item, and the darker the cyan, the longer it is, the older it is. Purple, on the other hand, represents the degree of value of an item. The darker the purple, the higher its value, or in layman's terms, the more valuable it is. Qi Ming felt that he was now in his own right, and as long as these eyes were there was nothing precious that could be missed. As expected, it confirms the ancient saying that good luck is not good. This is the rhythm of feeling down in love and feeling proud in the money market. Walking on the road, he clenched his fist with excitement, feeling a bit swollen. He immediately felt that what Mr. Wang said was very reasonable. Set a small goal and earn him 1 billion first. Chapter 5. Pet Xiaozi, from the Zhang family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This is not right either. Hey, do you want to buy or not? Don't move around if you don't buy. If it's damaged, you can compensate. What's right or wrong? You just pick it up and put it away. If you don't even look at it, you say it's not right. Be like your own golden pupils. If you like to buy or not, get lost and delay my business. Seeing the boss getting angry, Qi Ming felt a bit embarrassed. He put down his things and left with a gloomy expression. Since realizing the magic of his eyes and being in Panjiayuan, he has been a bit unable to walk. I always feel that my baby is right beside me, and if I don't look at a stall, I might miss out on 1 billion. So he came out of Boguzai and had been wandering in Panjiayuan for 2 hours. But as Wang Pengzi said, this is not more than 20 years ago, there is no loophole. Half of Pan's home has been visited, but he couldn't find a genuine one. It is not accurate to say that there is no genuine product, but more precisely, there is nothing valuable. Similar to Xianfeng Tongbao and Jiaqing Tongbao, there are many genuine products that Qi Ming picked up upon seeing. However, even if these are genuine products, they only cost more than 10 yuan each, which is why Qi Ming checked them one by one. This result somewhat dampened the enthusiasm. Qi Ming looked at the sky and it was getting late. Many people closed their stalls and stopped browsing. I took a taxi out of the market and then returned to the community. Before returning home, he thought of the small things at home, so after packing himself a meal, he went to the supermarket to buy fresh chicken breast and shrimp. That small one may not have weaned yet. He plans to boil the chicken breast and shrimp water, mash them into meat paste, and then feed them to the little one, as a way to add some nutrition to him. After arriving home, well, the little thing did give him a surprise. The milk left in the morning has been consumed, and at the same time, several yellow-brown stains on the white bedsheet cover are exceptionally prominent. Are you having a bad kidney? The taste is really strong. Qi Ming approached, and a gust of coquettishness rushed towards his nose. The little thing saw Qi Ming come in and cautiously ran from the left side of the bed to the far right, and it seemed to know it had made a mistake. It slipped into the bed with a slip. Qi Ming saw something arching inside the blanket. With one hand, press on the small thing that is moving around in the bed, and with the other hand, lift it out. This was the first time Qi Ming could clearly see the little thing in front of him. How to put it, it looks quite special. The body shape looks like a chihuahua, but it looks like a stuffed cat. Its tail is thick and long like a fox in an animated film, and its eyes are actually purple. I heard there is a teacup dog. Has a teacup cat been bred now? Hoo, are you a cat or a dog? Stop whining and come and call to listen. Qi Ming was like teasing a big girl, grabbing the soft flesh behind its neck, holding it in front of him, and even reaching out a finger to tease its chin. The little one seemed uncomfortable being caught, his purple eyes staring at him like this. Qi Ming actually felt angry from these eyes. When he asked it if it was a cat or a dog, the little thing seemed angry, let out a whimper, and frantically pulled its front paws, wanting to give Qi Ming a paw. However, the claws are too short to reach. After half a day of crying, it finally gave up completely, collapsed into a long stick, as if appointed. This time, Qi Ming saw the injustice in his cries and eyes. Am I too sensitive? Qi Ming couldn't help but wonder if he was a bit suspicious, just a small animal, and if his emotions were too rich. After looking for a while, Qi Ming found a clean place to sit down and rolled up the small thing on his thigh. It has to be said that this texture is really good. Despite being small in size, it has plenty of fur and a soft body. Coupled with this beauty, it is definitely a cute thing in the world. The little thing started to be unhappy and struggled a few times. But soon it realized that the resistance was ineffective, and it could also be comfortably masturbated, lying directly on Qi Ming's thighs, purring in its mouth. Hey, you're really a cat. Seeing that you're so young, I probably won't be able to survive even if I let you go. I'll take care of you in the future. So, let me give you a name first, Xiaobai. Ow. The fourth tone of intonation, Qi Ming understood, this is not pleasant. Dabai. Ow. Wang Kai. After changing more than 10 in a row, it was finally after he said, little purple, that the little one let out a whimper. This time there was no moaning or reaching out, it was agreed. Coincidentally, this name has the same color as its eyes, and for him, the more purple something is, the more expensive it is. Naming it is also a good omen. After confirming the name, Qi Ming placed Xiaozi on the ground, then pulled the sheets and blankets together to form a ball and threw them outside the door. Xiaozi's kidneys may not be good, the smell is too strong, and this quilt is really unusable. After tidying up the bed, he went to the kitchen to cook the chicken breast and shrimp. He had originally planned to mash them into meat, but the little one became extremely greedy while he was cooking. He grabbed his pants and climbed up to his shoulder, monitoring Qi Ming's cooking. After coming out of the pot, Xiaozi jumped forward and landed steadily on the table, nibbling on the chicken breast that was even bigger than its head. That's okay, but the key is that it actually peels off its shell when eating shrimp. The claws are like blades, and with each cut and scrape, the shrimp meat is exposed. Then, one bite at a time, it's clean and neat. Qi Ming had never seen such a cat before, but it looked interesting and he even started eating the hot packaged food. After one person and one beast had eaten, Qi Ming wanted to tidy up. First, he went to throw some garbage, and then he went to get some hot water to give Xiaozi a good wash. It has several burnt black spots and some stains on its snow-white fur. Since he has decided to take care of it, he must take good care of it. But now the doorbell rings. Who is it? Qi Ming went over and opened the door in confusion. Yo! My brother.in.law. Long time no see. The person at the door was carrying a bag with one hand and fanning their nose with the other, pointing to the blanket at the door. Brother.in.law, are you wetting the bed now? It smells so strong. What are you doing here? Qi Ming's face softened, and the person who came was Wang Hai, his former brother.in.law. The Zhang family has two daughters, the eldest Zhang Yayue and the youngest Zhang Yaxing. Initially, Zhang Yaxing wanted to marry him, but this couple strongly opposed it. Therefore, there was almost no communication between the two families after marriage. I'm here to send you money. Why don't you invite me in and sit down? Wang Hai lifted the bag in his hand. Sending money. It's not a problem for him to stand outside like this. Qi Ming stepped aside and let him in. When he turned around and closed the door, he picked up the crutch at the entrance and pretended to be lame again. Xiaozi had just finished eating and was sleeping on the table with her stomach turned over. She felt someone coming and immediately stood up alert. She quickly slipped up behind the vase and hid behind it like a child, extending half of her head to secretly scrutinize. Oh, you still keep mice. Wang Hai found it interesting and reached out to touch it, but it was knocked off with a loud bang. Speak up if you have something, fart if you have something, and then leave. The Zhang family forced him to divorce yesterday, and today they used relationships to make him unemployed. In ancient times, it was like forcing people to die, and Qi Ming was too lazy to give him any good looks. Oh, with such a big temper and a bad attitude, no wonder Yaxing wants to divorce you. I'm here to give you money, and I'm here to collect the house for Yaxing. Collect the house. Yeah, didn't you sign a divorce agreement yesterday? Wang Hai said, taking out 3 bundles of Chinese currency and a piece of paper from his bag. This is the divorce agreement you signed yesterday, which clearly states that you must vacate your house before the end of this month. And this money, I used your car accident compensation of 280,000 yuan to renovate this house. Now our Zhang family will give you back the original price, and we will give you another 20,000 yuan by rounding it up. There's a total of 300,000 yuan here, you see. It's not worth living for 2 years and earning 20,000 yuan. How could there be such a good thing in the world? Enough meaning, hee. Qi Ming was about to be laughed at angrily. Chapter 6. Smashing the House. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When he first bought a house, he took out the remaining 280,000 yuan in car accident compensation, and the two families pooled up a down payment of 600,000 yuan to buy this 65 square meter small 2-bedroom apartment in the suburbs. As for the decoration fee, it is actually his family's dowry money. At first, the Zhang family said well, no dowry, only requested both families to contribute money to the house renovation. The money from the Qi family should be considered as a dowry. His parents thought that the Zhang family was reasonable and agreed without even thinking about it. Back then, my 280,000 yuan was supposed to be the down payment for the house, but it became the decoration fee in your mouth. You guys have a really ugly appearance. Qi Ming was really disgusted by the operation of the Zhang family. Hee, don't talk nonsense. Wang Hai seemed to have anticipated that Qi Ming would say so, and calmly took out some paper from his bag. Look, this is the purchase contract, this is the property certificate, and this is the mortgage repayment record for the past 2 years. All the procedures are written under the name Yaxing. In today's legal society, everything requires evidence, and our evidence is sufficient. What about you? Is there evidence to prove what you said? Qi Ming's forehead was so angry that his veins were bulging. When he had difficulty walking, he naturally invited Zhang Yaxing to buy a house and view it. As for only writing her name, it was also because Zhang Yaxing married him despite his parents' opposition, making him feel that the two of them are truly in love and writing about each other is the same. Even his parents feel that Zhang Yaxing values love and righteousness, and they do not oppose writing only the woman's name. Now it seems that the Zhang family has a dark heart. Bang! Qi Ming punched heavily on the table and stared straight at Wang Hai. You've been deceiving people too much. But Wang Hai didn't care at all. He stood up and patted Qi Ming's shoulder, and said calmly, young man, don't get excited. You're so angry that it hurts your body. At least I'll give you 300,000 yuan. It's almost Chinese New Year. If you want to be sensible, take the money back to Jiangsu. If you don't know how to be sensible, why do you fight us as a stranger? After Wang Hai finished speaking, he got up and walked towards the door. He felt that he had perfectly completed the task assigned by his mother.in.law and could go back to report. Wait a minute. Why is there something else? Wang Hai turned around in surprise, and then he saw Qi Ming laughing. Tingfang, right. Don't wait until the end of the month, I'll Tingfang today. Is there such a good thing? Wang Hai was a bit surprised. But I'm glad that I exceeded the task. But to his surprise, Qi Ming raised his cane high. Wang Hai thought that Qi Ming was going to take action against him, but he guessed wrong. Qi Ming threw his cane hard and slammed it through the wedding photo on the wall. Then, under the shocked gaze of Wang Hai, Qi Ming extended his black hand towards the glass door, TV, refrigerator, and even toilet. At first, Xiaozi was startled by Qi Ming, but she seemed to feel the owner's emotions. The little one was also polite, pushing down the vase and even sneaking up onto the sofa, scratching the leather mat. A small house of 70 square meters couldn't withstand the torment of one person and one pet, and after more than 10 minutes, it turned into a Syrian war-damaged wind. After smashing this house completely, Qi Ming finally breathed a sigh of relief. And Xiaozi slipped up to Qi Ming's shoulder. The little one groaned and rubbed his head against Qi Ming's face, not knowing whether it was to comfort Qi Ming or because he was very happy after causing trouble. You're crazy. Wang Hai just regained his senses. He was scared and confused just now. What did he see? Seeing a crazy person demolishing a house. I'm not crazy. I smashed this house, I smashed it from out of town. If the Zhang family doesn't accept it, sue me. If the trial date is set, I'll make 1,000 copies and send them to Zhang Yaxing's unit, Lu Yun's hospital, and Zhang Song's school one by one. I need to let everyone know who you Zhang family are. Abandoning this sentence, Qi Ming found a bag, put away his various documents, picked up 300,000 yuan on the table, and walked out in a meteor-like manner. When passing by Wang Hai, a heavy tap on his shoulder caused him to stumble, and the little purple on his shoulder also bared her teeth at him. Walk to the door and sing in unison, then turn around. Tell Zhang Yaxing to wait at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau next Monday at 9 o'clock. I have already obtained my divorce certificate before the Chinese New Year. Wang Hailing in the room was there. He didn't know how to explain when he went back. Qi Ming moved out early, which was considered to have exceeded his mother. In.Law's task. But being smashed like this, how could he explain it to the Zhang family? After leaving the house, Qi Ming breathed a heavy sigh of relief, and all the remaining thoughts on Zhang Yaxing were now gone. Wu, the little purple on her shoulder was frozen and aroused, and she slipped into the pocket of Qi Ming's coat. In February, in Beijing, it was evening again, and the temperature had already fallen below zero. Qi Ming thought for a moment and took a taxi to book a hotel next to Panjiayuan. When he arrived at the hotel, he took a comfortable bath for himself and Xiaozi, and then went to bed early. But the Zhang family is not as comfortable as he is. What, he smashed the house? Lu Yun heard Wang Hai's report and stood up from the sofa with a kick. Wang Hai looked like a child who had done something wrong and stood on the side with his head down. His business was largely dependent on his mother. Law, who worked as a nurse in the hospital, so he was very afraid of Lu Yun. After hearing the news, Zhang Yaxing was momentarily stunned, then with a loud cry, she buried her head in the pillow and started crying, feeling extremely aggrieved. Reverse. Yaxing, don't worry, Mom will take care of you this time. Mom will report to the police and arrest him. It's lawless, it's almost lawless. He's so disabled that he dares to break free. Yes, legally this is called destroying someone else's property. Wang Hai immediately imitated the tone of the stick. That's enough. On one side, Zhang Song frowned and heavily tapped the teacup onto the coffee table. Suddenly, Zhang Yaxing's crying and Lu Yun's shouting and cursing decreased. I told you, don't worry. If you let him lose his job in the morning and go over to collect his house in the afternoon, you're driving him crazy. Can't he go crazy? The rabbit even bites when it's in a hurry. I'm also here to make him leave the capital early, to ensure that Yaxing can completely rest assured, and to protect his daughter's property, Lu Yun retorted. Zhang Song ignored her and looked at Wang Hai. What else did he say? Wang Hai looked at Yaxing before stuttering. He said to ask Yaxing to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau for divorce next Monday. Zhang Song pondered for a moment and nodded. Don't forget about this matter, Yaxing. Let your brother-in-law accompany you on Monday just in case. It's okay if it's smashed, it just broke clean. Just let her go like this. Lu Yun still felt a bit unwilling. Otherwise, what do you want? Zhang Song glanced at his wife, who was calculating everything. They said, you can sue him. He will make the whole city know. You think what our family is doing is authentic, and you and I are both career editors. If we really expose our face, should we? Take a step back, Yaxing will not marry in the future. Besides, this house has tripled in 2 years, and our family is not at a loss. After the new year, I will find some connections and renovate it for Yaxing. Lu Yun became more and more angry as she thought about it, but she knew her husband was right. In the end, she could only throw the pillow heavily and said, humph. This kid is cheap. Chapter 7. Treasures of Ancient Bricks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next morning, before the alarm clock rang, Qi Ming was awakened. Xiaozi, who was sleeping soundly with her tail resting on the pillow, was also awakened. The little one let out 2 dissatisfied moans, and then slowly crawled into the bed with a yawn, pretending not to disturb me. Qi Ming didn't care about it either. After a simple wash, he checked out 30,000 cash from the hotel safe and left the door. He actually had a plan yesterday, to live a tree with a skin and breathe a breath. The Zhang family put in so much effort to drive him out of the capital. Then he insisted on staying, not only staying, but also staying under their noses, crossing over as much as possible, infuriating these snobbish eyes. To achieve all of this, what is lacking is nothing more than money. There is nothing faster than picking up loopholes to make money. Yesterday, he picked up a missing piece and earned 50,000 yuan, which is worth more than half a year's salary for others. So he remembered the ghost market in Panjiayuan that he had heard of before, which was said to often have good things. As for those who have treasures but don't, Qi Ming always feels like he's just a cheat. If he doesn't take a look, he will already be at a loss. It was only after 3 o'clock, the sky was dark, the streets were quiet, and everyone tightened their necks and headed towards their destination. This evening, without worrying about encountering acquaintances and pretending to be lame, he quickly arrived at his destination with 7 or 8 twists and turns. Although it is a ghost market, there are also many stalls, selling a wide range of things, from porcelain, calligraphy and painting, to modern electronic products, and even second-hand clothes and shoes. Many people squat by the roadside stalls, picking and choosing, and occasionally there are voices of bargaining. Qi Ming's goal is clear. Those who sell clothes and shoes pass directly, and those who sell gourd, walnut, and cultural toys also pass directly, only looking at those who sell old items. I scanned 3 or 4 stalls, all of which were fake at first glance. Occasionally, there is a hint of treasure in it, but only green energy is visible and not purple energy. It belongs to the category of old objects that are not valuable. When Qi Ming passed by a booth, he couldn't help but stop because he finally saw something with a purple aura at the booth, and there were quite a few. Hey, little brother, come and take a look. These are authentic Qin bricks. Authentic. Who are you fooling? You have to have half a cubic meter to build it. If it is Qin brick, then you stole the Qin Great Wall or pried the mausoleum of the first Qin emperor. Someone immediately refuted the boss's remarks, causing several passers-by to burst into laughter. I'm not lying. When I was building a house in my hometown and digging the foundation, I found a section of abandoned wall. I asked someone to take a look and they said it's Qin bricks. Although the boss's explanation made sense, it clearly did not gain everyone's trust. Most people just glanced and walked away. Besides, who has nothing to do with placing bricks at home? Even if it's from the real Qin dynasty, the bricks are still bricks. Others don't believe it, but Qi Ming believes it because his green aura is over a meter high according to his conclusion drawn from observing objects from various dynasties in the Boguzai yesterday. The 5 cm long Qingqi roughly represents 100 years of history. Based on this, it can be inferred that even if this batch of bricks did not arrive in Qin, they would still have arrived in Han. And what excited him was that he saw purple for the first time in that pile of bricks. The purple color was delicate and deep, particularly eye-catching under the dim yellow light. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Qi Ming calmly walked forward, bent down, picked up bricks and pretended to look at them. The purple color was like a bonfire wrapping more than 10 bricks together, so much so that he could only look at them one by one. How much is it? Qi Ming asked the price while looking. 400 a pile. Qi Ming looked up at the vendor. 1 piece. The vendor was resolute. Hee, you don't understand the market, do you? Qi Ming said lightly. I can confirm that your batch of bricks is an old item, but I can't tell if it's not Qin bricks. Moreover, according to historical records, since the Qin dynasty, all bricks supplied to the government must be engraved with the name of the maker, making it easier to trace the root cause of future problems. Look, Qi Ming handed the brick to the vendor. There are no inscriptions or paintings on this brick. Even if it is from the Qin dynasty, the brick is still a brick. The emperor's beard is called a dragon's beard, which can be sold for money and used as medicine in ancient times. The common people's beard is just a beard, and it is of little use except for the diaphragm. As you say, then this brick is a pile of scrap. The vendor took the brick and looked around. It was indeed as Qi Ming said, without any markings. Thinking of carefully carrying 2 large bags along the way from Shaanxi to Beijing, feeling tired, I felt resentful and threw a brick on my hand to the ground. With a snap, the broken bricks flew up. This made Qi Ming's heart skip a beat. It was the pile of purple bricks that were smashed. Don't damage the treasures inside, quickly speak up and comfort them. No, nowadays people like old things. If you have enough old bricks, building a fish pond in a brick wall will still have some value. But if you want to sell by the block, I advise you to give up this idea. Do you want it? The vendor said with anticipation in his breath. He has been showing off for a while, and most people are too lazy to take a glance. The person in front of him is already the one who shows the most interest. The brick emitting a strong purple aura has been found by Qi Ming. He originally planned to find an excuse to buy the brick and leave. But listening to the pitiful tone of the boss, I felt a bit sympathetic. Eating meat on your own always requires others to have a sip of soup. Eating too much alone can easily lead to exhaustion. How much more do you have? The vendor listened to Qi Ming's question about the quantity and quickly replied with joy, this time I brought 2 suitcases, and I estimate we still have 1 cubic meter at home. Oh so, I'll give you 20,000 yuan, and I'll buy all your bricks. Follow me to the hotel, and you can send them to your home after the new year. This 10,000 yuan is a deposit, and the remaining money will be given when the goods arrive. 20,000 the vendor had already given up, thinking it was a waste of time, but unexpectedly, the road turned and the hands that received the deposit were trembling. Okay, I'll put it all away for you now. The vendor's movements were very agile. Seeing that Qi Ming still had a piece in his hand, he reached out to help put it away. Qi Ming retreated faintly from his side. I'll keep this piece and make a sample. It's getting dark and I'll send it to the research laboratory for testing to see what era it belongs to. It's also convenient for me to resell it. After taking this thing, Qi Ming had no intention of strolling around again and greeted the vendor before returning to the hotel. After seeing off the vendor, Qi Ming carefully examined the old bricks in his hand. He observed while using his phone to search for information about Qin bricks online. The brick in hand is 35 centimeters long, 26 centimeters wide, and nearly 5 centimeters high. According to online information, it is very similar to the bricks used in Qin dynasty palace cities. But there are no inscriptions or drawings on the brick, it looks like an ancient brick. But this strong purple aura cannot deceive people, the only explanation is that the baby is inside the brick. But his current cheats can only be considered as Qi-seeking skills, but he doesn't have golden pupils and can't see through bricks. It seems we have to knock on it and take a look. However, this knocking cannot directly violently shatter the bricks. Qi Ming thought for a moment and first added some water to the bathtub, then soaked the bricks in. Taking advantage of the soaking time, Qi Ming went to the ghost market again and bought a set of hardware tools. Returning to the hotel, Qi Ming found a file from the toolbox and directly knocked up the side of the brick. In no time, as the outside was gradually shattered, a crack exposed, and the brick was suddenly split in half and pieced together from the side. Qi Ming inserted the file into the crack, pried it with force, and with a snap, the ancient brick was split in half. Qi Ming finally saw clearly that this brick had been hollowed out, and in the middle was a rectangular stone the size of an adult's palm. He put the stone into the bathtub and washed away the dust on it, only then did he see clearly that it was indeed an inkstone. Chapter 8. Su Dongpa's Inkstone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What inkstone needs to be so precious? This is an inkstone with a length of 15 centimeters, a width of 8 centimeters, and a thickness of 2 centimeters. The inkstone has just been soaked in water and turned black-purple. The color of the inkstone pool is pitch black, and it is unclear whether it has been used for years or if the material itself is like this. Touching the inkstone, the stone is fine and warm, with a heavy and thick texture. The surface of the inkstone is delicate and smooth, as if touching a child's skin. Even laypeople like Qi Ming can feel that this is a good inkstone. A layer of banana leaves is carved below the inkstone, and above the banana leaves is a small poem the size of a grain of rice. Strive to read all the characters in the world, and aspire to read all the books in the world. There is also a small Su character in the upper left corner of the inkstone, which cannot be seen without careful examination. Flipping to the back, a poem occupies most of the space. How could the sea ever break the earth's veins? The white robe ends together, breaking through the heavens. Today, 1,000 people have seen genie, and Shixin Dongpo has a long eye. Below the line is a sentence. On October 19 of the first year of Qingming, Jiang Junbai was appointed to Qiongzhou. Obviously, it records the time and the owner of the Inkstone, Jiang Junbai. Jiang Junbai, Jiang Junbai. Qi Ming murmured twice, but had little impression of the name. But he knew the 2 lines of encouraging learning poetry on the positive side, which were from the great literary scholar Su Shi of the Northern Song dynasty. Insufficient knowledge reserves, Dunyan came to make up for it. Qi Ming entered Jiang Junbai into the query column. Quickly, a name popped up, Jiang Tongzhua. Jiang Tongzhua, styled Junbai. A native of the Northern Song dynasty, he was the first recorded Juren in Hainan and was later awarded the title of Jinshi. This person has neither left behind any great achievements nor any well-known literary works. But who gave him a good master, Su Shi? The little poem behind it is also recorded in the encyclopedia, and it is also very legendary. The first 2 lines of the poem were written by Su Shi, aimed at encouraging Jiang Tongzhua to actively strive for fame and achievement, and also agreed with him to complete the second half of the poem after Jiang Tongzhua finished high school. Unfortunately, after Jiang Tongzhua passed the imperial examination, Su Shi had already passed away, but when he passed by Ruyang, he met Su Shi's younger brother Su Zhe. Su Zhe added the latter half of the song for his brother. The 2 great scholars of the Su family write poetry for one person, so even a fool is qualified to leave a mark in history. It is said that Su Shi was born in 1037 and died in 1101. In the 3rd year of the Yuan Fu era, Qi Ming checked with his phone and found that it should be around 1100, when Su Shi happened to be exiled to Hainan. Speaking of which, the blueness on this inkstone is over 50 centimeters, indicating that it is indeed something from the Song dynasty. Song dynasty, Su Shi, Su Shi's poetry, Su Shi's disciple, is this inkstone related to Su Dongpo? This idea inspired Qi Ming, and he shook his inkstone and almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, he grabbed it. At this moment, the inkstone in hand felt dangerous and quickly returned to the room and placed it in the center of the bed. His movements also woke up Xiaozi, who was sleeping. The little one licked his paws and then scratched his face. Ahem, Xiaozi saw Qi Ming sitting on the bed and curiously climbed over. Her small face rubbed against Qi Ming's body, but she didn't receive a response, so she became interested in the dark stone on the bed. Just as the little paw was about to touch the inkstone, Qi Ming said, "Don't scare it so hard. Little ancestor, is that something you can play with? What if your paw gets scratched?" Oops. Oops, Qi Ming lifted the soft flesh behind Xiaozi and threw it onto the pillow. The little thing was confused, then its small mouth became humanized and it rushed over unwilling. Qi Ming grabbed it, stuffed it into his pocket, and buttoned it up, letting it stir inside. Then he wrapped the inkstone tightly with a hotel towel, and put a sweater in his bag before carefully carrying it out of the door. He can't wait for a moment now and can't wait to know the value of this inkstone. When Qi Ming arrived at Bo Guzhai, it was only after 8 o'clock and the door did not open. Helplessly, he could only wander around in front of the early stall outside to pass the time. Qi Ming didn't expect to see a touch of purple when he passed by a porcelain stall. This purple is not very strong, but it is also much stronger than Yuan Datou, who sold it for 60,000 yuan. Taking a closer look, the purple aura comes from a pink bowl, with a green aura of 10 centimeters, indicating that it is at least 200 years old. Qi Ming shook his head and couldn't believe it. He ran for 2 hours yesterday and didn't see anything good. Who would have thought he would encounter 2 things this morning? To sum up, the early bird catches the worm. Since we have encountered it, not buying will definitely result in losses. The street vendor saw Qi Ming as a hammer and offered a price of 20,000 yuan. Qi Ming cut in half and returned 10,000. The vendor pretended to be heartbroken and haggled twice, only to reluctantly agree to the deal after seeing that the price could not be increased. Qi Ming knew that with a little effort, he could win at most 200 yuan. But he still has the same idea that when he eats meat himself, he always has to make others drink soup. The only thing I'm not satisfied with is that the boss actually took a plastic bag to put in a bowl. At least 10,000 yuan is not very rigorous. And while he was strolling around the stall, Boguzai also opened the door. Sir, it's you again. Do you want to buy or sell things today? The salesperson at the door recognized Qi Ming. After all, the things in Bogu's studio are not cheap, and there are not many people entering and leaving every day. Qi Ming's attire as a mountain climbing stick with an eye mask is also highly recognizable. I still want to sell things. The salesperson looked at the plastic bag that Qi Ming was carrying in his hand. Can't it be just found on the street stall? How much did it cost? I'll tell you, it's all fake on the street stall. Hee, don't worry about the holiday. Okay, as long as you have a clear idea, porcelain is fine. Wait a moment, I'll go find Master Tang for you. He is an expert in porcelain here. The master surnamed Tang arrived soon, along with Lin Xian who had appraised him yesterday. Lin Xian greeted him and said that he had followed him to gain a deeper understanding. But when he saw it was taken out of a plastic bag, he thought it might have been a waste of time. What he didn't expect was that Master Tang actually said this bowl was real. Good thing, good thing. The glaze is round and natural, and the bowl is surrounded by 5 orange bats with a longevity character, symbolizing 5 blessings holding longevity. The outer side of the bowl is painted with a circle of peach blossoms and longevity peaches. The design style of this small bowl should be a pink porcelain bowl from the Qing dynasty, and it is likely an official kiln. Master Tang, don't deceive me, I haven't seen any money either. Lin Xian was a bit skeptical, and he also looked around. The center of the bowl had a longevity character, and there was no design on the bottom of the bowl. How could he confirm that it was an official kiln? You should know that official kilns and civilian kilns are not exactly the same. And this is also what Qi Ming is puzzled by. He can only rely on the length of his green energy to determine whether this bowl should be in the middle of the Qing dynasty, but has no ability to determine whether it is an official kiln or a folk kiln. Hee, you're still inexperienced. To judge an official kiln or a folk kiln, you need to look at the shape of the glaze painter and the base design. The glaze painter of this thing is not a problem, as for the base design, you can touch it. Master Tang joked with a smile and handed the bowl to Lin Xian, gesturing to him to touch the bottom of the bowl. It's a bit rusty, Lin Xian touched it and then handed the bowl to Qi Ming. Qi Ming also felt the same way, and a few people looked at Master Tang again. Well, let's talk about those years when the 4 olds were broken. At that time, it was promoted to fight against the ghosts and snakes, dispelling feudal superstitions, so many old objects were targeted. Some families intentionally damaged the signs on the objects in order to preserve their ancestral heritage. The ones here should have been worn off with sandpaper at that time. And you see, there are still a few blue dots in these positions. Qi Ming and Lin Xian, like 2 elementary school students, looked at the bottom of the bowl together. Not to mention the snow-white bottom of the bowl, there are actually a few blue dots. How about the antique industry? The older he gets, the more demonic he becomes. Qi Ming feels that his gaze may not be as good as that of the old man in front of him, and he wouldn't even notice those needle-sized dots without mentioning them. Master Tang, how much is this bowl worth? Qi Ming asked him what he was most concerned about. After pondering for a moment, Master Tang replied, if the payment is still there, it should be at least 160,000 to 200,000 yuan. But now, if we collect 80,000 yuan from Bo Gu Zhai. Qi Ming was a bit surprised because the purple aura on this glossy pink bowl was several times stronger than that on Yuan Datou. However, the price was only 20,000 yuan more. It seems that judging the value of an item solely based on the amount of purple aura is still biased. This actually made him worry a little more about the inkstone in his bag. Isn't it like this bowl, which looks valuable but has low actual value? But at least there shouldn't be anything that could be related to Sushi. Chapter 9. First level cultural relics, is that 10 million? Above. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Tang Lao, could you help me take a look at this too? The pink bowl is basically finalized, and Qi Ming has no objection to the price. Then he planned to take out the inkstone to have the experts confirm its specific value. Oh, there's something else. You're lucky. The old man surnamed Tang was also a bit surprised. When he saw Qi Ming carefully taking out a towel from his bag, he couldn't help but start looking forward to it. You should know that the person in front of you is the one who puts tens of thousands of clear pink bowls in plastic bags. What kind of treasure should he keep so carefully? Lin Xian's eyes were also shining, playing with antiques. Who wouldn't want to see more treasures, but when he saw the thick towel, he couldn't help but joke. Yo, this time it's packed so tightly, it seems like a good thing. This is also what I searched for today. I'm a bit confused, so I would like you to help me confirm and estimate the price. Qi Ming carefully opened the towel and lay a stone inkstone in the center. Tang Lao took the inkstone and carefully examined it. Understand all the characters in the world and read all the books in the world. This is Dongpo's advice to learn. Looking at the shape of the object, this should be a song inkstone. Lin Xian interjected in a timely manner, Uncle Tang, I don't know much about miscellaneous matters. How did you tell that this is Song Yen? As Tang continued to play and observe, he replied, in ancient times, there was only one aesthetic for each dynasty, and the same was true for inkstones. The Tang dynasty emphasized grandeur and required large and complex shapes. The shape of the objects needed to be large, and the carving needed to be exquisite and complex, especially the carving of flowers. The vast military and economic strength of the Ming and Qing dynasties overwhelmed the surrounding areas, so they basically inherited the inkstone-making style of the Tang dynasty. On the contrary, it was the Song dynasty, the most prosperous era of ancient Chinese culture, that emphasized simplicity and straightness in inkstones. The Song inkstones discovered so far have smaller shapes and simple shapes, mostly flat or trapezoidal. Look at this, Tang Lao placed the inkstone flat on the table and lightly touched the inkstone pool with his fingers. The inkstone pool is naturally inclined downwards, with a high back and a low front, which is a common shape of Song inkstone. Although there are carvings on the inkstone pool, they are only a few strokes. The carvings are banana leaves, which symbolize big leaves, industry, meaning that everyone will achieve great success and prosperity. And this inkstone is black and purple, with delicate texture and heavy handling. I didn't mistake it. This should be a Duan inkstone from the Song dynasty. Lin Xian reached out his hand and felt it, and then he felt it again. It was exactly the same as what old Tang said. Qi Ming on one side was also shocked by the old man's erudition. You should know, after checking his phone for a long time, he didn't say as much as the old man casually said. After Tang finished speaking, he flipped over the inkstone and then read the following verses and texts. In the 3rd year of Yuan Fu, it was indeed the Song dynasty. Is this Jianbao? Jianbao. I have some impression. Tang carefully placed the inkstone on the towel, and after confirming that it was a Song dynasty Duan inkstone, he became a bit more cautious. After putting it away, he took out his phone. Treasure appraisal must keep up with the times, and one cannot expect everyone to remember everything like a computer. At this moment, Lin Xian picked up the inkstone and carefully examined it. Qi Ming took out his phone and began searching for the market price of the Song dynasty Duan inkstone. He had a good mind and a strong defense against others was essential. Put it down. Ah. Uncle Tang. What's wrong? Lin Xian was a bit confused. The old man lost his mind and went crazy. He shouted so loudly, which startled him. However, seeing the old man so nervous, he gently lowered the inkstone on his hand according to Yen. Tang seemed to breathe a sigh of relief and then asked, "Where's your father?" "My dad. Upstairs, people from Pali and Qilin are here today. They want to collect some spring photos from us. We're probably talking about it at this moment. Tell him to come down." Lin Xian's forehead was filled with question marks, but before he could speak, the old man changed his mind. "No, let's go up. It's not suitable here." After finishing speaking, Tang Lao rolled up the towel on the table and wrapped the inkstone tightly. After picking up the inkstone, he wanted to run up, but soon he realized that it was not his thing and could only awkwardly hand it to Qi Ming. "Sorry, little brother. This thing is too precious. I don't have a deep understanding of miscellaneous research, and the store manager happens to be there. Can you come up with me and let him take a look?" "Store manager, that's Yang Qiaoming." Qi Ming saw Tang Lao's reaction and actually had a deep understanding in his heart. This inkstone may actually be related to Su Shi. Since that's the case, he also wants to see what Yang Qiaoming, a contemporary collector and appraiser, has to say. "How did you come?" In the office, Yang Qiaoming was chatting passionately with two young people in suits and leather shoes when he was suddenly interrupted by his own son breaking in. He originally wanted to get angry, but only suppressed his anger when he saw Master Tang in the store also come in. "Yo, Master Tang is also here. Long time no see, Master Tang." The two in the office also know Master Tang, who is also a skilled expert in the appraisal of porcelain in the Beijing area and has previously collaborated with their auction company. Okay. Tang Lao casually responded and turned around to urge Qi Ming to come over quickly. "Lao Yang, there's something here that I can't see. Please take a look. It's best to also call Lao Lu from the museum, who is an expert in miscellaneous matters." The museum that Tang Lao mentioned can only be the Palace Museum, and now all three people in the room are interested in it. "Oh, bring it over and take a look." Yang Qiaoming also sat upright and took out a magnifying glass. "Well, there's no problem with the material, shape, and coating of the Song Duan inkstone. Yang Qiaoming's explanation is the same as what Tang Lao said at the beginning. But when he flipped over to the back of the inkstone, he was also stunned. After a moment, he carefully placed the inkstone back on the table and closed his eyes to ponder. "Hey, where did you get this inkstone? My old man hasn't looked like this in a long time." Lin Xian turned to his side and asked in a low voice. Qi Minggang was about to say that it was done in the ghost market, but soon realized something and changed his mind. "My friend's thing, I entrusted it to me for appraisal. Speaking of which, Yang Qiaoming is your father, why are you surnamed Lin?" "My two children, I am the second, and I have the same surname as my mother." When the two were chatting, Yang Qiaoming opened his eyes and then took out his phone. "Hello Lao Lu, are you free now? Come to my store as soon as possible, and bring over the Xiqing Inkstone manual, when you come." "Yes, there's a treasure." After finishing the phone call, Yang Qiaoming looked at the two people from the auction company and said, "Manager Wang and Manager Zhao, I have something on my end today and may not have time to talk. So tomorrow, I'll take some time to visit your company directly." Manager Wang of Pali chuckled and replied, "Mr. Yang, you have a treasure here. It's better to come early than to come late. Can I stay and take a look?" Manager Zhao from Qilin also means, yes, everyone is in the antique circle, and once they see a treasure, they can't move on. Yang Qiaoming's face showed hesitation. He has cooperation with both companies and it's not easy to rush people directly. He could only look towards Qi Ming. "Brother, it's yours, right? Do you mind if they're present?" "Oh, it's okay. It's better to have solo music than to have group music." Qi Ming naturally won't object, and if he wants to take action later, he may have to find these two companies. Manager Wang and Manager Zhao also breathed a sigh of relief. If they were to rush people together, it would be really inconvenient for them to stay. They all came to Boguzai to buy collectibles for Chun. Now that there are treasures that have moved Yang Qiaoming, they naturally want to see them. If they are confirmed to be genuine, they may even be able to chat with Qi Ming afterwards. It would be even better if they could act as auction agents. Chapter 10. First level cultural relics, is that 10 million? Below. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Palace Museum is only about 10 kilometers away from Panjiayuan. In about half an hour, an elderly man with gray hair in Tang attire went up the second floor under the guidance of a salesperson. When the old man came in, he was very eager. He knew that his old colleague and friend had extremely high expectations, and the treasure that could move him was not simple. Lao Lu, what kind of treasure do you have? You're so anxious. Yang Qiaoming welcomed him and said, "A Inkstone. If it can be confirmed today that it is genuine, it will also be a big event that can shock the antique industry. Oh, then come and take a look. Let me introduce you to a few people here first." Yang Qiaoming is considered a businessman, and he is well-rounded in his work. However, Lu Zan, a researcher from the Forbidden City, clearly didn't pay much attention. When introducing Qi Ming as the owner, he glanced over and didn't even bother to look at the others. He nodded to acknowledge them. Yang Qiaoming also knew that this old friend had a temper, and he didn't force himself. He just wanted to save face. So he pulled Lu Zan to the Song Inkstone. Lu Zan's eyes lit up as soon as he saw the inkstone, and he took out his reading glasses from his pocket and began to study them carefully. While studying, he rambled on, saying things that were similar to what Yang Qiaoming and Master Tang said when they saw the inkstone. Meanwhile, Master Tang and Yang Qiaoming picked up the Western Qing Inkstone manual, brought by Lu Zan, and carefully flipped through it page by page. What book is this Shiqing Yanpu? Several elderly people were fully immersed, and Qi Ming was not easy to disturb. They could only ask Lin Xian beside them. Lin Xian recalled and replied, this was ordered by Emperor Qianlong to be revised, specifically recording over 240 famous inkstones collected by the imperial household at that time. Do you mean that my inkstone may be recorded in this book? I don't think there's much hope. Lin Xian shook his head. It doesn't matter whether you're here or not. This inkstone is basically confirmed to be related to Su Shi. Yang Qiaoming suddenly interrupted their conversation and stood up with a smile. This statement made everyone in the room's eyes light up, especially Qi Ming. If he really had a relationship with Su Shi, the price would be astronomical. And Lu Zan, who was watching the inkstone over there, also put down his book with a solemn expression. Before Lu Zan arrived, Yang Qiaoming and Master Tang had already searched for a lot of historical materials, and now with the support of the Western Qing Inkstone manual, they were even more confident in the results. Lu Zan still had some doubts. This is a Song Duan inkstone, but the quality of the inkstone is not considered superior. It's a bit far-fetched to say it's related to Su Dongpo. Yang Qiaoming retorted with a smile, pointing to the information on the computer and saying, the time recorded after the inkstone was in the 3rd year of the Yuan Fu era. At that time, Su Shi was exiled to Hainan and his life was difficult. It was only reasonable that he could not afford a good inkstone. And you see, there is a record in Mr. Kong Fanli's Su Shi Chronicle, that Su Shi gave a Duan inkstone to his disciple Jiang Junbai before leaving Hainan. This is recorded in the new compilation of Dongpo Overseas Collection and the Linggao County Annals. Lu Zan nodded as he looked at the information and then took the Western Qing Inkstone manual from Yang Qiaoming's hand. The book had already been flipped over to a page of Song Yan's book. Qi Ming leaned closer and saw a design of a Song dynasty hand-copied inkstone. The title next to it read, Front View of Song Su Shi's Knot Rope Inkstone. Yang Qiaoming pointed to the corner of the handwritten inkstone and said, look here, are the Su characters here the same as those on this inkstone? Lu Zhan looked at the book and then at the inkstone at hand, nodding. It's indeed similar, but the picture is still a picture, and this inkstone is not in the record. Speaking of which, young man, where did you get this inkstone? Understanding the origin is also an important way to verify the authenticity of the item. Now everyone is looking towards Qi Ming. Qi Ming thought for a moment before saying, this inkstone was entrusted by a friend to me for appraisal. It's not convenient to say his origin, but I know his hometown is in Shaanxi, and things were also discovered by him in his old house in Shaanxi. Lin Xian used to hear this guy say that he made the inkstone, but now he has been entrusted by someone else, but he hasn't pointed it out in person. Shaanxi. Lu Zhan was puzzled again. Jiang Tangzhua is from Hainan, but this inkstone is in Shaanxi, which makes sense. Unlike Lu Zhan's doubts, when Master Tang heard Qi Ming's words, he clapped his hands and clicked the mouse to pop up a web page. Lu, look, this is the Jiang family genealogy that I just found. According to the genealogy records, Jiang Tangzhua's ancestral home is in Fujian. In order to avoid disasters and his family moved to Hainan, he said. After he passed the imperial examination, he was granted the title of Jinshi and appointed as a palace attendant. Later, he resigned from his position. He did not return to Hainan but returned to his hometown in Fujian. And he married the daughter of Wang Yuanding, the governor of the capital, and gave birth to 3 sons. Wan, Yan, and Li. Nowadays, the descendants of Jiang Tangzhua mainly reside in Fujian, Hainan, Hunan, and Shaanxi. So it's reasonable to find this inkstone in Shaanxi. Lu Zhan carefully examined the information and nodded after a while. Indeed, that makes sense. You really hit the nail on the head. Although we still need to continue searching, if this were to spread, it would shock the cultural relic circle. How much do those people think the value of Su Shi's inkstone is? Manager Wang from Poly took this opportunity to inquire. For the few people in the room, the 2 managers of the auction company are the most concerned about the price of this inkstone besides Qi Ming. Humph, vulgarity is unbearable. Lu Zhan was the first to speak out, but choked. Then he turned his head to Qi Ming and said, young man, your inkstone should undoubtedly be a national first-class cultural relic. It has irreplaceable significance for studying Su Shi's life and the history of education in Hainan. Upon hearing what his old friend said, Yang Qiaoming furrowed his brow and secretly wanted something bad to happen. Sure enough, after Lu Zhan finished praising, he said, my suggestion is, no, I hope you can donate it to the Palace Museum to contribute to the archaeological cause of our country. Moreover, in terms of preservation and exhibition conditions, the museum is its best destination. Qi Ming was still eagerly waiting for an estimate, but suddenly the old man interjected and demanded that he donate. Can he be in a good mood? Everyone in the room could see Qi Ming's face drooping. Lu Lao, do not do what you don't want to do to others. Do you dare to ask if all your cultural relics have been donated? Qi Ming's words are already very impolite. But to my surprise, the old man replied directly, we all donated. At this moment, the atmosphere in the room suddenly became awkward. Qi Ming was completely trapped there now, and Lin Xian on one side wanted to speak up and ease up, but as a junior, he really didn't have the qualifications to speak up. Alright, Lao Lu. Yang Qiaoming walked into the middle of the two. Everyone has their own goals. You're Xiaobuqian, and you can donate whatever your family has, but you can't expect everyone to follow your example. Besides, if the museum wants it, it can also be acquired through formal channels. Isn't that why the government gives so much budget every year to deal with this situation? Yang Qiaoming is actually very dissatisfied with his old friend's donation proposal. This is an antique shop. Whoever comes here, whether buying or selling, is seeking profit. Are you willing or happy to ask someone to donate for free in the store? If it is rumored that someone will still come to his store, it will definitely have an impact on the reputation of the store, so he came out immediately to make amends. Sorry, Mr. Liu. The item is not mine and I cannot decide. I will share your proposal with my friend. And I believe that if the museum wants to acquire it, even if the price is slightly lower, my friend will give priority to the museum. Qi Ming took advantage of the slope to get rid of the awkwardness. Lu Zhan frowned and scanned the crowd, humming in circles. He borrowed a high-definition camera from Yang Qiaoming and took a few detailed photos of the Inkstone. After leaving, he said, "We don't conspire with each other." He then strode out. After he left, Yang Qiaoming smiled and said, "All right, my old friend is a bit impatient and stubborn. Don't worry, everyone. As for the value of this Inkstone." Yang Qiaoming's words instantly caught everyone's attention. In terms of value, it's around 30 million yuan, and if it works well, it can even reach 50 million yuan. It all depends on how it works. 30 million. Qi Ming's eyes widened. He can't believe it, he's already a millionaire.